First speaker is Gaetan. Being the light in the world, is there possible any image more attractive than this one? I'm sure we all like to say yes to this appeal. But what will it take to become a light? Gaetan gives us his vision on what is meant by this light, and he starts this conference by explaining what it could mean to live Jesus' teachings in the 21st century. Gaetan, Charland.
Good morning, everyone. I put my timer on so I don't exceed your time. Thank you. Be the light of the world. Of course, in the Urantia book, we do talk about the light a lot. And when we might first hear that word light, we think about the natural light of the world, the sun, or a light bulb that we light, or someone smiling. You know, we say, oh, geez, looks delightful. Well, what is truly spiritual light? What the Urantia book means by being, spiritual and manifesting that light. So I have a few quotes there that will support what I want to say this morning, and I'll try to keep in line with the text I wrote so I don't take more time. So this is what the fruit of the divine spirits, which are yielded in the lives of spirit-born and God-knowing mortals, are loving service, unselfish devotion, courageous loyalty, sincere fairness, enlightened honesty, undying hope, confiding trust, merciful ministry, unfailing goodness, forgiving tolerance, and enduring peace. But I don't think I'm at the right, But the quote I wanted to read, in fact, is, "You are the light of the world." And a lot of people don't see that as a Urantia book reader. A city set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Light so shine before men that they may see your good works and be led to glorify your Father who is in heaven. As we, the spiritual light, are we the spiritual light that shines, that they may see our good deed, that they may see the good work we're doing? Are we these lights? And as a Urantia book reader, we should know more than the rest of the world. We were giving this revelation, and sometimes we don't realize the privilege that has been given to us. So, by the publication mandate, the book is given to those who are ready for it long time before the day of its worldwide mission. So we have to understand that what does it mean to be given to those who are ready for it. And sometimes as reader of the book, we try to give the books to many, many people. And as you may know, most of us have found out that a lot of them, they don't read it. And probably some of them are throw those books in the trash for some others to find them, because I know some readers that were truly ready for this book and they found it in the trash. Rick Lyon is one of them. So you never know what you will find true. We accept the responsibility that we are the ones ready for this revelation. Then should we not prepare to be the spiritual ambassador of this revelation? And as reader, this is what we came about today, about this, the Spirit of Jesus, and learn of His teaching. How many of us have changed ourselves to be those ambassadors, to be this light that attracts those truth seekers? Or are we the one that just give books away and hope that this book will transform the world by itself? Light, spirit, luminosity is a word symbol, a figure of speech which connote the personality, manifestation, characteristic of spirit being of diverse orders. This luminous emanation is in no respect related either to intellectual insight or to physical light manifestation. The Urantia book mentioned that this spiritual light, in many of its pages, I believe, from what I understand, that this light cannot be seen with the eyes of the flesh. Then if not, how is it then perceived? How, as student of the Urantia book, can we manifest this light to the world? It is a marvelous and transforming experience to become the living channel of spiritual light to the mortal who sits in spiritual darkness. How many of you have had that experience of sharing truth and seeing the face of those that receive this truth being enlightened, being, just wow, being manifesting a lot of joy by finding this truth and wanting to know more? How can we do this? It is a then who these truths must yield the increase of the fruit of the Spirit and manifest a growing devotion to the unselfish service of your fellow servant. So we need to be the servant of all, not the other way around, where we wait for people to serve on us, just like Jesus did. If I understand these quotes right, it means that the fruit of the spirits are the essence of this light. And as student of this revelation, we should be in service to our fellow man. We do not need to become expert in the Urantia book. Many times when I travel around, people would come to me when I was at the position of president of UAI, and they would come to me and ask me questions about the Urantia book, very baffling question, like I knew everything about the book because I was the president of the association. And I kept telling people, I'm not this expert in the book. I'm just there because maybe I'm good with organization. So don't ask me all those questions. Someone asked me about the triodity and Trinity, and I said, oh my God, I'm going to answer that, Have you had those experiences yourself? There are some people that just dwells on the intellectual side of the Urantia book. They like this challenge, for their brain. They like the exercise that this book gives them. But the real exercise should be in our heart, not our mind. So we need to change the way we do things. We need to change the way we do study groups. We need to share spiritual experience and service. We need to practice what we talk about. Not only talk about the book. I've heard so much about the book. The book. I love the book. In fact, when I found the book, I loved the book. But it doesn't need to become a thing of worship. It is what's inside the book that's essential, the teaching. And how do we apply this in our life? So Jesus gave us a few things of how to do that. And he gave us a very natural way of doing it. And these ways are not hearing voices, you're trying to know who's speaking in my mind. A lot of people believe that the thought register will start speaking to them, or I don't know, all kinds of things, the spirit being will talk to them and appear to them, or some people talk to their angels, and I hear all kinds of story, people saying, when I want a parking space, I ask my angel and I find this parking space. Do you think they're really worried about where you will park your car? You should pray for them that they get you to meet people that are looking for this light. You should pray for them to give you the ways, the wisdom, the words necessary to manifest the will of God in your life. Not to find a parking space, not to win the lotto, or whatever you might think that the physical world needs. He needs this spiritual light. So Jesus, in a natural way, has shown us how to do this. So I did read this one. You may preach a religion about Jesus, but perforce you must live the religion of Jesus. There are many things that can be done. Acquire simple practice to ready ourselves for this transformation, and every one of us can do them. There are also basic requirements that must precede these practices in order for them to become effective and transformative. Sincerity and service. The key of the kingdom of heaven are sincerity, and more sincerity. All men have these keys. Not to start your car, not to open your house. Real keys. Do you ever wonder, do you ever pray, am I sincere enough? Sometimes when I meditate in the morning, I'm praying to God, am I sincere enough? In my mind, do I feel that real sincerity? Am I ready to do anything for this strong desire that I have to do the will of God? Or is there condition to my doing the will? Do I put a price on that? We have to question these things inside of us. We have to reflect how sincere I am. All men have these keys. Men use them, advance in spirit status by decision, by more decision, and by more decision. So every day we have decision, more decision. Even in the simple, ordinary life with our spouse or children or co-worker, there are times that, where we might be called upon to show more patience. That's my things to do, because sometimes when my wife asks me something, it's, oh no, because I have to work on patience, and she keeps telling me, well, this is why I'm here, just to improve your patience. And I said to her, don't tell me that. And then after that, I might reflect, well, how else am I going to get more patience if every time she asks me something, I have this urge not to answer, or to be impatient with her, And sometimes we are more impatient with people we love that are close to us than strangers, because we take them for granted, as we take God for granted most of the time, or we take our adjuster for granted, or many other things we take for granted, so we don't think about them. So Jesus, what did he do when he was young? And he showed us the way how to do it. Study. So every one of you have probably studied the Urantia book. But reading and studying, that's two different things. Very different. I know a lot of people that just read, and they come into a study group, they read, they want to read. They want to read the book every year. One year, one book, one year, one book, one year. There's even a guy I met, he says, we've been reading the book 15 times. He says, what else can we do? And he left. Of course, I would have left before the 15th one. I would have left probably after the second one. Because I can read by myself. But study, that's another thing. And there's many ways of studying. So you must, again, study the time of Jesus on earth. You must carefully take note of how the kingdom of heaven was inaugurated in the world. That was from the publication mandate. Study the time of Jesus. How many of us have gone back to the life of Jesus and really have tried to learn how he did it? How did he talk to other people? How did he went around and open the minds of others to the truth? He never talked about him, who he was. He didn't say, hey, I'm the creator of this universe. What do you think would have happened? They'll say, who's this crazy guy? Remember when you go around with the book? I remember my mother thought I was crazy. My sister too. All my family thought I was crazy. Some of them still might think I'm still crazy. But my mother became a reader. My sister too. And she passed away without the fear of death because she had read the Urantia book, and we study all those passages where they talk about life after death, because I knew she was really scared of dying. So there's much thing we can do. Prayer. How many of you have prayed this morning? Don't raise your hand if you didn't. You're caught on camera now. It's a simple practice, praying. Very simple. We can pray many times a day. But do we take really some time in the morning to sit down, take time with Jesus and with God and with our own mind, with our own heart, and close our eyes and go back inside and take deep breathing and really engage in a dialogue with our Creator and talk about what is our spiritual need and thank Him for everything that He has given us, all the gifts. And there are so many gifts that He has given to us. Do we thank Him for that? Or do we just, My time is up. That's it, folks. Saved by the bell. So, to him, prayer was a sincere expression of spiritual attitude, a declaration of soul loyalty, a recital of personal devotion, an expression of thanksgiving, an avoidance of emotional tension, a prevention of conflict, an exaltation of intellection, an ennoblement of desire, and a vindication of moral decision. So we need, as a Urantia book reader, to take this in practice in our life. We need to pray. You know, not long ago, Lynn and I, Guy Perron, and Agnès Lazare were in Senegal to meet our friend from Senegal. One of them is over here. Atab is sitting right behind. And you know what? They gave us a lecture on prayer, and I was ashamed. Even if I do pray every morning, I said, Jesus, wow, do we have things to learn? And they were saying to us, you know, for us, prayer is a habitual thing. You know, we pray 5 times a day because they're Muslims. Of course, they don't pray the same, you know, like the Muslim might do. They pray like the Urantia book talks about. And they show us ways of prayer and the effectiveness of prayer. And I came away from this meeting with them. For a whole day, they talk about prayer and meditation and worship as Jesus did. And I was entranced. I never heard so much about prayer, the good that prayer could do in one's life and do in the other's life. And yet so many of us don't even pray. We had people in our study group that even share with us, we don't pray. Why don't you pray? But, you know, because in our religion, blah, 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 all kinds of reasons. Meditation. How many do we meditate? How many are we that meditate? But not only Buddhism meditation. There's an article that was written by Peter Hawley many years ago. And I had this article translated in French and published in UAI Journal many years ago about meditation according to Jesus, how Jesus was doing it. How many of you have read this article? Maybe a few. Maybe a lot of you don't know about it. But it was quite interesting to learn that the meditation definition that was given in 1934, when the book was given, was quite different than the definition of meditation as it is written now today in the dictionary. I didn't know that, you know. And then I said, wow. And then he goes on to explain how Jesus was meditating. What an enlightening piece of work, you know, that this guy did, an article that he wrote. That enlightened many people. We use it in our own presentation. I made hundreds of copies of it and gave it away, made it available to others, because we need to know these things that Jesus did. The result of this momentous season of meditation demonstrated conclusively that the divine mind has triumphantly and spiritually dominated the human intellect. The mind of man has become the mind of God. From this time on and on, though the selfhood of the mind of man is ever present, always does this spiritualized human mind says, not my will, but yours be done. How many times do we are confronted with difficulty and we want to do our own will? It's not when it's easy that it's easy to do the will of God. It's when we are called upon to take hard decisions, when life is calling on us the hard way, that we need to stop. Take a deep breath. Your will be done, not mine. But sometimes, you know, no, not today. This one I need to do it, you know, and you might come to this. So I need to go on. Worship. True religious worship is not a futile monologue of self-deception. Worship is a personal communion with that which is divinely real, with that which is the source, the very source of reality. Man inspired by worship to be a better and thereby eventually attain the best. And these are the things that we need to do in our life. And the last is service. Jesus often took his apostles away by themselves for short periods or engaged in the meditation and prayer. Imagine Jesus was the master of this universe. He even went in prayer and meditation. Imagine, you know, he's He has a direct connection with God. And yet he has to go in meditation and prayer and worship. How much do we need that for ourselves? If he needs to do it, how much do we need to do that? Are you convinced? Are you not convinced by that? So service, Jesus often took his apostles away by themselves for a short period to engage in meditation and prayer. But for the most part, he kept them in service contact with the multitude. The soul of man requires spiritual exercise as well as spiritual nourishment. Are we engaged in service others than the Urantia movement? Are we outside ministering to other needs in service of love? Love is doing the greatest good to others. Love is the wish to do good to others. Are we doing that? How can we shine this light if we only shine it among ourselves? Do you set a big lighthouse on a hill and put a foil around it so it reflects by inside? No, you want everyone to see that light. This is how it works. When these experiences are frequently repeated, they crystallize into habits, strength-giving and worshipful habits, and such habits eventually formulate themselves into a spiritual character. And as such a character is finally recognized by one fellow as a mature personality. That's how we'll do it. The secret of this unparalleled religious life was this unconsciousness of the presence of God. And he attained it by intelligent prayer and sincere worship, unbroken communion with God, and not by leading voices, vision, or extraordinary religious practice. Geez, have I seen those? And maybe you have seen those too. People with all kinds of, crazy practice or whatever. Jesus never engaged in those practices. And we have to be careful how we do that, or else we're going to shy people away from us. The book is given to those who are ready for it long before the day of its worldwide mission. Thousands of study groups must be brought into existence, and the book must be translated into many tongues. That was given to us many years ago. When I researched back, I went to document that went back to the 60s when the Brotherhood was in existence. And they were talking about these things regularly. Have we forgotten about these? Or are we trying to do things that we believe will make this thing go faster? Is this not what we're trying to do all the time? We want to see those results in our lifetime. But first we need to change ourselves. And I leave you with this beautiful picture of Jesus. That was his first study group. When you like to have a good study group and where he lives, his life. Well, just recently some people went there and had multiple study groups. We went there, my wife and I and a few others, and we had study groups in the land of Jesus, reading the passage where he was. But we can do that at home with people, with friends, with families. And you know what happened when you have a study group at home? You ever imagine what's happening when you do that? Well, just a little story before I leave. I had a study group at my sister's place where my mother would come in. There was many people coming in, and after they moved, we kept that study group going. And then there was only my sister, her husband, and we were three. And we kept that on for over a year, and my mother passed away after that. She was also there part of the time, but then she passed away. And then we kept that study group, and I asked my sister, why don't you come to my place? We do have a study group every Monday night. Maybe it'd be better for you. She said, no. I said, why? No, I want the study group to be here in my house. I did not yet understand, but after a while, her son was having big problem in his life, hanging around with bad people, taking drugs and fighting and getting arrested. And he would sit in the living room by the kitchen where we had the study group. And he would listen, he would play his games, and then sometimes and at the end he would come and sit with us for the last half hour. And I would say to him, you want to read with us? No. But he would stay there and just listen. And you know what happened? It transformed his life. And today, it's amazing what he has become. And my sister, this is why she wanted the study group being there, because study group are kind of a light. It's a spiritual manifestation when you do a good study group. And if we would be angel, what we would see, because when you do have a study group, Jesus is there with you. And there are angels there with you also. All kinds of angels. And students from other universe, they come in, they want to see how we're doing it. And probably if we'd be angel, we'd look at those houses in the city, we'd see a beam of light. Hey, this is how they find the study group, you know. They don't read the directory of study group, you know. They see this light and they, whoa, let's go there, you know. There's, oh, let's go there. You know how many cities there are in the world today? 100,000 a city. We don't even have 1,000 study groups. So think about that. Thank you.